Okay, welcome out to Tackle Trading's daily market update. This is Coach T from TackleTrading.com. We're bringing you market information on a regular basis and some really dynamic content. Start with the market here today. We're going to go to the Trade Center, kind of a one-stop shop. And let's look at the heat maps first. Overall green, basic materials had a very big day. You had a few companies that were down, some areas that were down. Walmart, Home Depot, Amazon, some of the service sector was down. Facebook sold off, about a 1% move. Apple Computer was generally flat but slightly up. Healthcare was down. Mixed market in terms of sectors, and you're seeing some different action here. Basic materials was the big story of the day, in my opinion. Let's look at the earnings date. Smack dab in the middle of earnings season. A lot of pink on that chart, which means that a lot of companies are still set to come out with earnings. Keep an eye on that. If you are trading right now and you're keeping positions out there, you need to make sure that you double check when the earnings are happening for any of the companies that you trade. A few more that came in overnight and even today that you can keep an eye on. Johnson & Johnson was April 14th after the bell. You can see Bank of America April 15th before the bell. You're seeing most of the financial major leaders, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Citigroup, JP Morgan, PNC Financial. They all did have their earnings already. Still waiting on Visa, MasterCard, some of the credit processors. Still waiting on most of the tech giants. That'll be next week. Apple Computer, April 27th. A few to keep an eye on coming up down the pipeline. Let's look at the futures market. Okay. I'm going to kick back to all of the indices. This is a 5-minute chart for the Dow, S&P, NASDAQ, Russell, Volatility Index, and the Nikkei. And what we saw, let's make it an hourly chart actually so we can get the full view of the day. Markets today opened up. They stayed up. They finished relatively, decent. It wasn't a big move. Okay, by any stretch of the imagination. And if you kick back to a daily, you can see the candlesticks on these. We're pressing resistance on the Dow, same resistance at the S&P 500. NASDAQ is pressing resistance. Now, the one area of the market that's showing relative strength right now is the Russell 2000. It actually broke through resistance. You can trade that index with something like a bull put spread. There are a lot of ETFs that track the Russell as well, or else you could even go out and scan for things that are on the Russell. If you're looking for something bullish, that might be a good place to start. Let's look at the energy sector. Crude oil, what a day. Okay, crude oil on the 5-minute. Actually, let's look at this one on a bigger chart here. Now, I'll be putting out a commodities report on Thursday, April 16th, the day after tax day. But what we saw here on crude is when the inventories came out, it spiked and rallied. I'll talk more about that tomorrow. It maintained the trend throughout most of the day, and in fact, it even closed very, very strong. It's now trading at about $56 after hours. Now, as soon as the short front month contract on the futures contract rolls off, it's going to be repriced at like 58, 59. I believe 60 is the level to keep an eye on for a big long-term breakout. Now, until it breaks 60, I'm not calling it bullish. Okay, we've just seen too much back and forth, but it's definitely shown a lot. In fact, it was a huge move here today. At the inventories report, it was sitting at $54, took off, ran, ended up closing up near 56, 56.50, somewhere in here. Let's look at the gold markets. All right. Okay, bullish rally, breakout, pullback throughout the day. You saw a big spike in the commodities and the currency markets about midday. It just took off. And you saw a big run in gold right at that time. Closed flat, but had a nice day. Started the morning around the 11.92 mark, closed around the 12.02 mark, about $10 an ounce for gold today. Pretty good move. And last but not least, in fact, probably most, is the U.S. dollar. Selling, okay? Selling on a 5-minute. It got crushed about 12:30. This kind of came out of nowhere. It was a really interesting market condition there for about 20 minutes. Middle of the day, the dollar just broke down. Some institutions started pushing it, triggering it. The chart just started to break down. It sold. It ended up flat here at the end of the day. Hasn't really done much. We're going to be looking at that. Now, a big thing with the dollar right now is the reaction. We don't need that. From the euro as well. And I'm going to go to the Forex calendar here for just a minute and talk about a couple of things. There was an interesting report today. Yeah, let's look at all the currencies. Actually, let's look at the euro and the dollar. Apply the filter. Okay, and instead of for Thursday, let's do the whole week. This morning, there was an ECB press conference that came out. The euro had their minimum bid rate. They kept it at the same level, expected. Then they had a big press conference. There was actually some theatrics at the press conference. President Draghi, or however you say his name, some protester came up and glitter bombed him in front of the entire press. I don't know exactly what she's going to be charged with, but I had a good chuckle at that. It kind of reminded me of a few years ago when President Bush was in office and some guy threw a shoe at him. I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was pretty funny. Anyway, the ECB press conference this morning, 5:30 a.m., that was Pacific time. And we didn't see a lot of volatility when it happened, but then later in the day it ended up coming in. As some more information came out, institutions took a position, and we saw volatility in the euro and the dollar. The euro-dollar pair is currently trading, I believe, at about 107, probably 106.80 last time I checked, 106.76. So that 107 barrier has been a resistance this week. If you trade currencies, you probably need to go in and take a look at that. It'll be interesting to watch how the rest of the week plays out in the currency markets. It's one of my number one focuses right now, along with crude oil and then earnings season, okay? This has been the Tackle Trading Market Update. Tomorrow, things to look for. You know, levels on the S&P. You know, draw your support and resistance on the intraday chart. That'd be one major thing. In the U.S., we have unemployment claims. That happens every Thursday, so that's not a big deal, really. But the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index can create some volatility. Now, that's after the market opens. That's about 7 a.m. Pacific, which is 10 a.m. East. That's after the market opens. Keep an eye on that event. If you are trading in the commodities market, there's a natural gas inventories report at 10:30 that could drive nat gas prices as well. But, you know, business as usual. Earnings right now. Let's see who's reporting after the bell. And over here at FinViz, going to run a quick screen. Earnings date today after the market closes. Okay, and let's do this with a market cap of large or above. So just the big companies we'll keep an eye on. Netflix, big one. You know, SanDisk, Kinder Morgan. Tomorrow morning, before the market opens. Okay, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, Philip Morris, Sherwin-Williams, United Health. Netflix is a very popular company to trade around earnings. It's a real big mover. And let's see if we can find an intraday chart for Netflix real quick. And let's kick that down into a intraday. Oh, looks like FinViz ain't going to let us do it. Go look up Netflix. I'm going to give you some homework. Go look it up on an intraday chart in your Thinkorswim software and see what it did after hours. And keep an eye on what it's going to do tomorrow. I think that'll be a major news headline for tomorrow. Okay, this has been the Market Update. Tim Justice here, Coach T from TackleTrading.com. On Thursday, one quick note. If you're watching this video, we are going to take the site down for a couple hours for maintenance. We're changing a few of our back-end support settings and whatnot, and so we will email everybody about that. But we do have, for our pro members and our rookie members, we have a show at 7 p.m. Eastern Time with the coaches, and we're going to come together and have our expiration party, so we hope you can attend there. All right, get in the game.
Get off the sidelines and take control of your financial future at www.tackletrading.com. Get in the game.